Hi, so you're looking to do your first century, or maybe you've done one and it didn't go quite as well as you thought. The fact that you're thinking about it means you can do it. It's not your fitness that's holding you back. Yeah, I know you've maybe only done 50 miles or 60 miles as your longest ride, but you can do it. It's your mindset, it's your fueling, it's your hydration, it's your planning your route, and a couple of other little hacks that I'm going to share with you in this video. So let's get ready to nail that 100. Okay, let's start with the route. Routes are easy to plan. Now, there's so many GPS apps out there. We can plan the route, we can then download it to our cycle computer and we can follow it. But the trouble is, a lot of people, they'll plan for a 50 mile out and a 50 mile home. We'll go out with a headwind and we'll come home with a tailwind. Super easy, Scott, job done. No, it doesn't work like that. How long are you going to be out there for? 7, 8, 9, potentially 10 hours? Is the weather going to change? Is some rain going to come in? Is the wind direction going to change halfway through the day? Does it get stronger? Does it get lighter? You've got to take all this into account. So what you need to do with your route is you need to split it. Now there's two ways of doing this. We can split it according to the longest distance you've done. Let's say that's 60 miles. Split it to around about half that. So let's take 25. You should be able to do 4 25-mile rides. No problem. Try and avoid getting to a halfway point if you're unsure of your fitness and then gorging on a huge big banquet, the world's largest buffet. We'll go into fueling in a second, I'll explain why. By splitting it, we can therefore refuel and rehydrate regularly. You're going to be doing that on the bike anyway, but by stopping at these shorter distances, you know that you're going to get that rest, mindset's going to get recharged as well, and you will be able to complete part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Now here's an extra little hack that a lot of people don't do, and I've used it with countless riders, beginners, all sorts of sizes, ages, all sorts of bikes as well. We do the home century. Now that's not cycling 100 miles on your turbo. No, it is actually outside. And what we do is we break it up again, either into 5 times 20 or 4 times 25. And we go from home out, let's say 12, 13 miles home. By coming home, we then recharge, fuel, water, toilet stop. You're never that far away from home that you're a phone call away from someone to come and get you. If you're unsure and your confidence levels are low, changing a tyre, etc. By doing that, you've got that mindset strength, that safety blanket. Because remember, doing a century, it's not life or death. You're not going to go to jail if you don't do it. It's your personal challenge. And I urge you to aim to do a century solo. That's the real century. You're not drafting, you're not getting support from anyone. You're doing it all on your own. And by doing the home one, hey, it works. Try it. Start planning, look at the different routes you're going to have, and then work with the weather. And by coming home, you're only looking at 4 or 5 minutes at home. It's not a great deal. Bike's going to stay outside. Boom, in we go, recharge. How we doing? I'm great. Part 2. Let's go. And you can change the route as well. It works. Try it. So we've got the route ready, now we've got to check the bike over. And I'm not just talking about giving it a polish and giving it a clean. We've got to give it a thorough check. Maybe it's best for you just to drop it into the local bike shop and get them to check it over, because we want to make sure the tyres are in good condition, the chain isn't stretched, your gears are not going to let you down, everything's in perfect working order. Sure, there are variables we can't control. You may go over a thorn, you may get a nail in the tyre and get a puncture, but we don't want anything that you can control to go wrong. So you cover all those bases. You also look at the bike and you make sure the saddle's in the right position. Have you got anyone to help you? Yeah, you've been complaining, the saddle gives me a little bit of ache, I'm going to put chamois cream in. Chamois cream is not always the answer. It's just the fore aft of that saddle. As a bike fitter, I would say easily over 90% of the bikes I fit, the saddle's fine, but the rider will complain about it. But it's only because the fore aft is in the wrong position. So maybe you just need to speak to somebody or get some advice, or maybe start to tweak your saddle to get it into a better position for you. But it's not going to stop you doing this ride. But get that bike checked over. Nothing worse than going out and the thing lets you down after 30 miles. And I tell you what, there's nothing worse than being in a group and there's always that rider, you know who they are, they don't bring the right inner tubes, they haven't brought the right tools for their bike, they haven't brought any nutrition, they're always late. You're not that person, okay? So don't let that stop you. Let's talk about fueling and hydration. This is the most important thing. Your fitness, yes, is important, but I promise you it's not your fitness that's going to stop you doing it. It's going to be the fueling and hydration. That's why if you're doing the home century, it's really easy to do. If you're planning and not coming home until you've completed, you've got to work out where you're going to stop. You've got to work out how you're going to get water and how you're going to get fuel. But it starts 5 days out. So 5 days out, make sure you try and give yourself a chance. So you're going to get extra sleep. And remember, we're going to get a little bit more sleep at the start of your sleeping pattern. Not by sleeping in for an extra hour and turning up for work late and saying, hey, Coach Scott, they said I need more sleep. Sorry, I'm late. You're also going to make sure you cut out alcohol 5 days beforehand. Oh, no, I can't do that, Scott. Give your body a chance. You're going to increase your water intake. You're going to clean up your diet. Remove processed foods, takeaway foods. Give yourself a chance. You'll be amazed at how good you feel. As we get closer to the event, I'm not talking about carb loading. We'll save that for another video. This is your first century or maybe your second or third. So let's just clean it up and give yourself a chance by increasing the amount of slow releasing carbs, like things like porridge, adding in some honey and some jam. And then in the morning of your event, you've got your leave time. Make sure you give yourself at least 90 minutes from the minute you get up before you leave so that we can eat, we can digest before we go. Now I want you to remember, your body is able to break down 1 gram of carbohydrate per minute. You've got around 2 hours of stored fuel, most people, without us refueling. But you mustn't leave it 2 hours before you start fueling because you're going to be out on the road for what? 7, 8, 9, 10 hours? You've got to look after your body and stay ahead of the curve. So by doing it in the splitting of the 20 or 25 miles or doing it to come home, really easy because you can plan your route and make sure you're going to hydrate and you're going to fuel. But here's the thing that a lot of people get it wrong. They'll maybe do a ride and they'll have this cafe stop or they'll stop and they'll have a huge big meal. Remember, 1 gram per minute. So 30 grams per half hour. When we look at most of the things that people will eat because we get so hungry, hormones are driving us to get to that cafe. I want the first seat. I want that big bacon roll. I want sausages. You've got to look at the food and think, okay, how's that going to break down in my stomach? Because remember, when you start cycling, guess where blood doesn't want to go? Your stomach. Because you need it in your muscles. So try and use a little bit of common sense. If we fuel regularly and we keep it high in carbohydrates, high in liquid, you'll be okay. And keep it solid. Keep the food as solid as you can. I know you can go into any shop, you can watch lots of videos and people are taking liquid fuel, they're taking gels. These are going to give them so much more energy. I assure you, unless you've practiced taking those gels, they can be ever so harsh on your stomach. Save them for emergencies. When I'm out on a long ride, I carry 2. One is an emergency for me and one for somebody else in the group. And I just put them in the back of my saddlebag and they're there. In fact, I found one the other day. It'd been in there over a year. Now, I can always trick somebody and offer them it on a ride if they've been a bit of a pain in the backside, but I don't do stuff like that. People are now watching thinking, he gave me a gel 2 weeks ago. But solid food, but save a gel maybe for an emergency. But hey, you've split your ride. You've only got short rides, so the fueling is really easy. But avoid that big meal. Save it for when you complete it. What to carry on your bike or in your pockets? It's a question I get asked loads, and it's really important if you're doing a century ride. What you don't want to do is get out the house like a pit pony. You've got your pockets full, you've even got a rucksack on. No, you don't need that. You need to make sure you carry only what you need, and you try and get it on your bike and you spread the load. When I see riders packed with pockets full and bags on, their posture goes out the window. They haven't got enough posture just to hold their upper body, so why would you then overload your pockets and put a bag on? It doesn't make sense. Okay, so look at who's going. Say you've got a small group. Is there someone younger, fitter, lighter? You give them a little bit more to carry. You don't all take a pump. You only need one. So you share around you what you're going to take. You make sure you can cover a puncture. So you've either got inner tubes, if you're not riding tubeless, you've got CO2 canister, you've got a pair of tweezers to make sure that you can pull out that thorn or that broken nail that may go in. Now you're going to be unlucky if something goes wrong because you've had your bike checked, you've had it serviced, it's in good condition, but you just cover the basic bases. Then you're going to carry your water and your nutrition. You're going to carry your ID, but you have told people, this is when I'm leaving, this is when I'll be at checkpoint 1, 2, or this is when I'll be home in the first stage, this is when I'm starting to take stage 2, etc. You just make sure you don't take more than what you need because it's just extra weight and most of it you're not going to use. Also, look at the weather. A big sin that people make is they take a jacket, and when they put the jacket on, let's say it's going to rain, they put the jacket on, the thing doesn't fit them. It's blowing in the wind and you can hear it. Aerodynamics are not massively important to you, I know that, but try please and get something that's a little bit tighter fitting if you're looking for something that's going to be rainproof or showerproof. Remember, skin is the best form of defence for rain, and if you're going to go out in the rain, you're going to get wet. So no matter what type of jacket you put on, it's going to get through. But the big baggy ones, they're going to slow you down. It's like going with a sail. So have a little think about that. And the last thing I want to talk about is mindset. You've been thinking about this Century for a while. You've wanted to do it. You've seen others do it. You've had a crack at it and it didn't quite work. You chose a bad day, yeah? You just weren't feeling good. Now, you've got to get excited. I mean that. Now, of course, that sounds like a very obvious thing, but I mean you've got to get excited. You've got to get the body into that happy, excited, this is an adventure, I am a warrior, I am going to succeed, I am going to make sure that I get this nailed. If you're apprehensive, which I'm sure you may be, it will start to eat into you and you'll get a little bit nervous. We may increase cortisol levels, we may actually then burn more fuel while just worrying about the thing. But we can trick the body by getting excited. I'll do this often with athletes. Really hard session, coming out of a hard event, get excited. Why should I get excited? It's going to really hurt, Scott. Get excited about the adaptation you're going to get after it. When you complete this, boy, are you going to be super fast, super fit. Get excited. Tell the mind that it's going to enjoy it. And when you're out on the journey, let's say you're doing it over 25 miles. I want you to put yourself in a scenario that makes you think about something that is tougher that you've achieved. Or maybe you've got a connection with someone, a friend, a relative that's been through something super tough, really difficult. How did they struggle? How did they survive? This is a bike ride. You're only pushing a bike and you chose to do it. So you can't get off and quit because they survived something a lot worse. They got there, so I'm going to bloody do this. I am going to make sure I do it. You've got to have that high level of mindset. Achievement is the only option. Completion is the only option. I am not going to quit. And by coming home and doing different routes, it's not an easy get out of jail card. It just makes it achievable. Because when you then complete your second one, or your third one, or your 50th, remember, I'm working with people who are in their 70s, 80s, and they're doing centuries. So why aren't you? Now you've got the tools, get it nailed. Hey, I'm going to speak to you in the next video, and remember, anyone We'll do that again. I'll do an end one and we'll use that, but we'll use that for the mindset. So 5 easy tips how to do that century. Hey, it's that simple. Get it done tomorrow. Okay, if you love the content, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll be notified every time I'm on. I've got so much information to share with you. And remember, anyone can train hard, but there's only a few of us can train smart. I'll see you in the next video.